Yo, it's your boy Michael Trill Tail, and I'm here with the Ghetto Flower Fresh Flower Podcast. You already know what it is. Super excited to be here. You already know what it is. Got my main man Q in the building. What's good, broski?
What's going on? What's going on, man? We got a very, very special guest in the building, man. Very special guest. I'm excited.
Hell yeah, man. Super excited, man. It's nice to be back here in the Foxhole. Shout out Logan. Shout out Foxhole Creatives. But without further ado, I would love to introduce our very special guest for this episode. We got the one and only Chelsea B in the building. What's good, Chelsea? How you doing?
What's good? What's good with y'all? I'm good.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you
y'all
so
for
much.
having me.
Of course. Appreciate you for stopping by. I know this was long overdue. We kind of
It's
took
been long overdue.
a couple months of coordination trying to get this planned, but here we are. So super excited and just want to say thank you.
Exactly. And I just wanted to start off. We always start off kind of with just like giving people their flowers a little bit. And that's kind of why I want to start off. Like, I remember first seeing your work definitely throughout social media, and for sure I seen your work at the Matt Muse's Long Hair Don't Care show. Were you a part of the Long Hair Don't Care show with Toby Lou, the one in, was it 29? You were part of that one too? Or
Yes,
okay.
actually, I believe I was. Yeah, because that was the year prior.
Right, yeah.
Yes,
okay,
I had
yeah.
me a little table set up.
Yeah.
Then I
And
came back.
and that's why I seen your work, because I remember you were selling the masks, the full. What are those called?
They're called my like blossom ski mask. It's like the ski mask with the flowers all like on the sides.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just felt like that was my own nod to a crown. You know, I feel like that's when I'm in my queendom when I'm creating, and so I'm like, this one I feel like I'm in my queen essence. So that's what they were, and then people just loved them. So I brought them out.
Yeah,
Nice.
because that's when I was the first time I seen that. I was like, damn, like what? Like seeing it in person, I was like, this is crazy. Like, you really got to have some talent doing this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's where I wanted to start this, and then like that's where we'll start it, and that's where we'll kind of go back, and let's segue back into like where it all started.
Okay.
So when did you like kind of start like designing, and when did you start your designing career?
Well, I wouldn't say just randomly started my designing career. It was just like a gradual thing. So I'm an artist at heart. I grew up like sketching, painting. I didn't really watch a lot of cartoons, but my mom would tell you I watched a lot of home improvement shows, Food Network, HGTV, all the things, TLC, What Not to Wear, all the things. So I loved art. And then I had this like interest in like fashion and all things creative from all aspects. And then I think when I got to be in about 8th grade is when I was like, you know what? I want to figure out how to wear some stuff. I grew up going to thrift shops and things with my grandmother, and I was a very petite, I'm still kind of petite young lady. And we didn't have much money, so the best way to kind of tweak my looks or anything was just like to figure it out and like make it me. And so that's kind of where the design aspect came. It wasn't meant for me to design for anybody, more so of to design for myself. And then somewhere along the way, it became this like art thing, and I just wanted to create this character outside of the world that I was living in, and now we're here.
And like during that time, like you say, around 8th grade, like what was that like? I guess like was there like a representation, like a person that like you were like looking at, or like anything that like you were influenced by personally that you were like, yeah, like let me kind of like chase after this?
Not necessarily, because again, I didn't think that I could turn what I was doing into a career, because I didn't even pick up a crochet hook until I was like a sophomore in high school. So before that, I was just sketching in books. I don't know if it was like this for you all, but I was a little weird kid in the back of the class, like sketching on my paper. So I didn't even have an idea of like design or any design influences. I'm from the South Side of Chicago. Like, I wasn't privy to like Photoshop and all of these things. So the first kind of person that influenced my design career was Nick Cave, and I didn't learn about him until I was a freshman or sophomore in college. And so like it wasn't even a design influence. I just remember growing up watching we just talked about this, Rob Deerdick and like the skateboarders. And so that was a little bit of an influence. I used to live in Michigan for a little minute with my dad, and like going to school out there, you saw a lot of what the other kids was wearing. So I learned about places like Journeys and what's the other Journeys and
Like Hot Topic.
Hot Topic, right?
Yep.
And then Justin Bieber was popping. You had Mindless Behavior, and so maybe some of that.
Mindless behavior, damn.
Yeah, and then like what is it, OMG Girls and stuff. And so it was a lot of that. And then I remember I would listen to people like Tiffany Evans and Yes, I Rock Your Promise Ring. And so she had the like neon colors, and then the New Boys, they was doing the jerk. So that was like style of influence.
Yeah.
Right, that was the style influences that I was seeing. So I kind of imitated a little bit, but again, I didn't think of them like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer. It's just that I just want to look cool, you know, express myself.
So that's like kind of like your style in those times.
Yeah, that was my style. I had to, what is it? Converse. I remember I dreamed about getting this one pair of Converse. They were they stopped at mid calf, and they had pockets on the side. And for the longest time, I kept them.
Oh, stop! I know exactly what
you
you're
know
talking
what you're supposed to talk about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because
I know exactly what you're talking about. My brother had those.
When my hair had came out, and then Willow Smith was doing the painting the hair and the braids, and then she was wearing Converse, and there was the Converse that came all the way up to the waist. And I remember I saw the Converse with the pockets on the side, and I was like, hey, I need them in my life. And so that was like my first like part of fashion. I was like, I need to be part of. I want that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So when you're like when early on, like when you're like sketching, so like did you ever like dabble into like actually making clothes, or so what was that first thing that you were like, oh yeah, I'm really rocking with this?
So the first thing that I was like really rocking with or got my hand into, my family or like family friends took notice that I was into design by the time I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school. So randomly I got gifted like 2 sewing machines.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh snap, they love me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I got gifted 2 sewing machines, and I would just take old fabrics that I would get at the thrift store, and I would make like these tube tops or like these random I wouldn't even want to call them vintage skirts, but they was like these balloon skirts before the balloon skirts became a thing now. But I would do that stuff, and I had this interest in these like old vintage hats, so I would just be taking them apart, putting them together. So I would sew. Like, people don't know I started off sewing, but when I ended up picking up the crochet hook when I was about, I think 15 or 16 is when the puzzle pieces started to really click for me. Like, oh, I could actually create something like that. I like create something from start to finish, and not have to like cut out a pattern. I could just freehand it. And so yeah, started off sewing, and then we moved on to some yarn.
How did you like discover like crocheting? Like, how did that come into play? Because obviously that's very different from sewing, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get introduced to that, the art of crocheting?
So the way in which I got introduced to crocheting was, like I said, I was in high school. I ended up just getting a new homeroom teacher, Miss Meg McGivney. If anybody who knows my story has watched previous interviews, I always talk about Miss McGivney. So she was a music teacher, but she ended up having to be my homeroom teacher, and she just wanted to do like a collaborative exercise or creative exercise with all of the girls. And I was just one of the only ones that like took to the crocheting that she was teaching. And I don't know, I just took to it. And at the same time, I was running track. And when I would have to take the Western bus from the west side of Chicago back to the south side after track practice, like every day. And that's how I got my practice in. And it just became this thing that was similar to running and athletics, that like where I felt free. Like on the track, I felt so free. I felt like I was flying. Like nobody could touch me in a sense. Like it was just a space of peace. And that's what crocheting created for me. It was just this place that I could just drift off and create this world. And so that's how I got introduced to it. And then it just became a thing, yeah. But also, I didn't want the weird people on the bus talking to me. I was by myself a lot. So I was like, if I look weird to them, and then we both looking weird, we ain't gonna talk to each other. They just gonna be looking at me, yeah.
Dang. So you was doing that on the bus, and that's how
Yeah,
you.
it was some real rough pieces. Like, I mean, I would make scarves. Like, I think one weekend I made like 8 scarves in a weekend. Just like, I'm trying to see how fast I can go because I'm competing with me. I'm not worried about nobody else. Then I'm learning a new stitch, coming back to my teacher, like, hey, look at this. What you think about this? Because she taught me the basics, like the single crochet, the double crochet. And then I was like, okay, I can make some bows. Yeah, at that time, Janelle Monáe was popping. And I used to wear my hair in a like lobster roll thing, and I was like, I'm gonna crochet me some bows on the side to revamp my uniform. So that's how it kind of got started.
Damn. So you was doing that back then.
Yeah. And like the collar, the Peter Pan collars I was crocheting, and then my dogs were like my first models. Like I got on their nerves. I know they did, but like they would just sit there and let me make the little mohawk hats. And my brothers, I was just making stuff so they could wear. One Christmas, everybody got handmade gifts. Like
Nice.
I'm not buying nothing. I'm making everybody a scarf, a hat, a bow. Like that's what they got. It was bad though, but it was.
How were they? Were they receptive to it? Like, were they appreciative? And I have a question too. Like, so when you were making those pieces, were you wearing them out in public?
Oh yeah.
Would people look at you any kind of way?
Yeah,
Because
you
this
know
is new,
what?
right? This is a new thing.
Oh yeah, when I first started, definitely I would go to church wearing my skirts and stuff like that. On one end they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool," but then the other hand, you had the old school ladies like, "What is she doing? She need to put a little shawl over her legs or something. I don't know what's going on." But I made it a thing because at the end of the day, I felt like I was my own kind of walking billboard. Not in the sense that I wanted to sell things, but I'm like, I should be proud of what I'm making.
Expression.
Yes.
Yeah, and so my mom and like I said, I grew up with all brothers. So like anytime I came up with a creative idea, they just was like, okay. Like they was very supportive. I mean, not that they knew I was going with it, but it was like, if she like it, we love it. And we gonna just sit here and let her dress us up, I guess.
Yeah, that's just so wild that like, you were able to just transfer, doing that type of medium. And do you feel like you do that a lot like on your downtime? Because like I remember seeing you at the show and you were actually like doing, you're making something at the show. So do you feel like you do that like a lot during your downtime, or do you feel like you just have to be in a creative mode to like make something?
I think that I just have to be in a creative mode because I think recently, within the past year or so, I realized that I needed to like just take a slight break from it.
Okay.
But the thing is, like I said, I'm an artist at heart. I'm an artist at heart. So like, I do other things outside of crocheting that influence my creativity, and that's what kind of keeps me going. So yeah, some days I'm like, low key, it's just one of those not. Crochet used to kind of be like an I don't want to say an obsession, but it's just one of those things I felt like I always had to keep my hands moving. So I always felt like I needed to do it because I was trying to prove that I could do this because so many people told me this thing wasn't going to be cool, that I wasn't going to have a career in it, all the things. So back then it was a constant thing. Like I need to make sure I'm sharpening my hook. I need to make sure I'm sharpening my threads, and I need to make sure I'm constantly creating. But now that I've acquired like my success and, did all the things that I kind of wanted to do. Now I was like, okay, let's take a step back and let's dabble back into all the other creative aspects so we could tap back in and create some more innovative projects. So here and there, I'll create something, but now I'm like, I write more and I read more, I paint, I do some like contemporary art, but yeah, sometimes it's crochet all day, and sometimes it's just like, let's watch a documentary and see how that applies to the project that
It's
I'm
gonna
doing.
make you a better artist. It's gonna make you a better artist.
Yes.
And when you were, making all this stuff for your family members and stuff like that, and just for yourself, when did you start making it for other people? When did that like start happening?
So back in I think 2018, was it 20? No, it was like 2016 or so, 2016 or 2017. I had got good at crocheting, but I had this goal of like making a gown. I was like, I ain't never seen nobody make a gown.
Ooh.
And so I sat for 2 days just crocheting this dress. And I eventually called it like the sunshine dress because at that time, Beyond the Lemonade album had came out. Yellow was like this prominent color and I was just feeling it. So I made the dress in 2 days and then I posted it to Facebook. and it went viral. I was so shocked because I left my phone down, and I wasn't even like a super social media type person because I was just, it was sport, church, school. And so I left my phone down, and then I check, I'm like, oh, snap. It's thousands of people looking at this. And I started to get DMs like, hey, are you selling this dress? And I'm like, I wasn't even trying to sell nothing. But from there, people started to make inquiries. So I said, let me throw out fear and let's see what I can do. And was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect, but it became learn a lesson. So yeah, back in like 2016, 2017 is when I began to kind of make stuff for people. And then later on, it moved on to like, the celebs and things like that.
Damn, that's wild. So like,
happy accident.
Yeah. And so like, do you like, is that something that you like tackle a lot? Like, oh, this hasn't been done before, so I want to do it.
Yeah.
Or like,
for sure. Because again, when I got into the textile or fiber arts industry, there wasn't anybody that looked like me and then also if it was somebody that looked like me, they didn't have the desire to do what it is that I wanted to do, which was shift culture and narrative and shift representation within that space. It was predominantly like white. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't predominantly people of color. And so I knew for a fact I saw this as cool. Like I remember people telling me, oh, well, you can make blankets or do the baby booties. And I remember I just stuck to my no because I was like, I don't want to do that. That's not fun. Like, I could do that, but like, why? If I can, why I can't take it further? And so I remember when I was in college, I started to work with a lot of musical artists on like sets. And what people don't know is I wore a lot of hats before I really stepped into being a brand owner. Like I used to style music videos. I was doing hair. I was doing makeup, graphic design, building out sets, doing installations. And so I had all of these facets. And so I was like, okay, I haven't seen crochet or knitwear show up in this space in this type of way. I haven't seen crochet or knitwear show up in pop culture or hip hop in this type of way. And like, what pieces can I create to shift that narrative and show people that it could be cool? Because a lot of times people was looking at me like, I don't know. And then when they began to see my work, they was like, oh, snap, you didn't shift in my mind, right? That's the artist aspect of it. It's like, we're not meant to be liked by everybody, but we're meant to strike up opinion and shift thought within the art space. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't in it for people to like what I did. I just wanted to shift like what that story was and tell the story a different type of way. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's super dope. And you brought up a good point, and I kind of want to circle back. So you mentioned how like you're multifaceted, and you pull inspiration from some of the other things you've done. So you mentioned like styling, modeling, set design, installation, and that's a great point because we live in an era now where everyone's multifaceted. Right? We have designers who they do cut and sew, they do crocheting, they do whatever it is, digital media, digital art, animation, stuff like that. When you were dabbling in those spaces, was it always to tie it back to crochet, or was it more so just like an expression of, I can do this also, or I can do this also, or was it always like, I'll tie it back to crocheting?
No, it goes back to what you said. When I dabbled in all of these other facets of art, it was just I'm just trying to express myself.
Yeah.
I oftentimes believe that I'm just a collage of my environment. I'm a collage of the things that I'm interested in. And so, no, it wasn't just to tie it back to crochet. It just was to enhance that skill. I just ended up choosing crochet as like a focus and just continuing with it. But it was like I could do that too. And also one of the things that I learned when I was in college, or even as I was growing up, is like learn all of the pieces, learn all of the structure, so that when you are getting into what you actually want to do, you know how you want it to be. I know how I want this to be styled. So when I'm bringing somebody else in and I'm explaining it to them, they don't got to tell me what I think I want. I'm going to tell you what I want because I did all of these other things. I know how I want certain things to be mastered. And so, marketed or mastered or promoted or whatever, or what colors I think should be combined. Like, I've experimented with all of those things so that when I got into crochet finally, or like fully shifted into that being a brand, I knew exactly what I wanted because I was doing
Yeah,
it
you can
already.
talk to people. You've been
And so
doing
now I
it.
can
Yeah.
fully explain it in
Yep.
all facets and fully express it to you in a way that you understand and I understand. And we could create a great project.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect because when you get in those doors, like you said, they try to make you do other things.
Yeah. Or
Since
put you in a
know,
box,
yeah,
yeah.
or put you in a box. And since you know all these facets, you're able to, create your own.
Yeah, and have an opinion on things.
Exactly.
Yeah, now it's I think sometimes for creatives, like they sometimes don't know how to like express it because sometimes we always have our head down. But I think when you really step outside and like play around with some other things that you don't have to be perfect at, you're just trying it, it really helps and sharpen the skill that you got. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people, I crochet, but a lot of times when I'm feeling creatively stuck, I'll go and paint. I'm like, let me go get a piece of cardboard and I'm gonna throw some paint on it and let's see what happens.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna go cook or bake, I don't know, or just sit and listen to music. A lot of my homies in college, they were musical engineers, like, or producers or whatever. They was putting together beats and I would just sit with them. And I just watched them because I was like, wow, they're creating something out of nothing. I'm creating something out of nothing. And like, how do they move and how do they flow? And then that ultimately would influence like what I did, you know, in a different type of way. So yeah, always kind of sharpen it in it and tapping into some other things to help you.
Yeah. That does help. And I wanted to talk about the House of Chelsea B. So is that where, when you started the House of Chelsea B, well, first of all, I want to ask, like, what actually is it? And then secondly, like, when you started that, was that where you run the commissions through? Like, with the celebrities and stuff like that? Or what's the House of Chelsea B?
So the House of Chelsea B is a brand that I started right after my dress went viral.
Really?
Like a few
Okay.
months after, because I saw that people had a need for what for what I did. And so initially it was just like a hobby thing, and it actually was Chelsea B Creations.
Okay, that's how
I
it started.
I literally cringe at the name because I'm like, girl, who was you thinking with that name? Lord have mercy. But yeah, it was just like, it started off as just like my hobby, and eventually, the more I began to get commissions and stuff, it turned into like, this is a brand to be innovative within the knitwear fiber art space. And then ultimately I shifted it to the house because I do crochet, but then I think that in years to come it'll be other things. And now I think I'm still figuring out what that language is and like what is that story behind House of Chelsea B besides just Chelsea. And I think one of the things that I've ultimately realized is that I become like a vehicle to bring other creatives together.
Ooh, okay.
And in my own type of way, because I do the crochet, but at the end of the day, I have friends that are in music and people that are in contemporary art and people are in fashion and what is it called, interior design and all that. And I ultimately just begin to bring them together when I do projects or campaigns and stuff like that. But ultimately, it just started off as just like this hobby of a brand, and I just titled it House of Chelsea B because it's my house. It's the house that I've created, and now we just bring people together, and I don't know. And now we just crochet and make cool things and dress the celebs and all of that. Yeah.
Hell yeah. And is that what you want to kind of like do a little bit moving forward? Is have more, kind of events like that with people, crochet and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. One of the big things, like what I want to continue to do, let's just talk. I want to talk about like this summer. This summer has been one of those things where I want to tap back into like the full wellness of who I am. So make sure that I'm physically well, make sure I'm mentally well, creatively well, career-wise well. And so one of those, like with that being said, it just made me reevaluate and think about what is my brand doing and how intentional I can be. And so, I'm very big on community. And a lot of like what I do is like within community, I do workshops, you know what I'm saying? With me partnering with like Nike and Jordan Brand, a lot of that was like community geared because when I started off crocheting, I realized that we didn't have a place yet in this space and then nobody was teaching. So my mission when I came back to Chicago was like, let me teach people like what it is that I'm doing or like show them. So they know they don't just got to crochet, but let's tap into the Black creativity here and show Chicago that, or like show my community that you can do something, like you can do this and like, you can really promote yourself. So I hope I answered that, but
Yeah, definitely.
I want to continue to kind of be a vehicle and like amplify like other artists and I don't know, support, mentor um, with my brand.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of circle back, and you mentioned like that viral moment kind of like kicked you into gear to kind of like start the brand and stuff. Did you feel like any external pressure at all to start that brand? Because like we've had some people on the show, mainly musicians and stuff, who maybe have like put out something and it went viral, and then they were like, oh, now I got to double back. Now I got to do it again. Now I got to do it again. Now I got to do it again. Was there any like internal pressures or even external pressures that like kind of like forced you into that, or do you feel like it kind of happened at the right time to kind of kickstart the brand in the House of Chelsea B?
I'm going to say yes and no. I say yes because I had the viral moment and people were just like people don't realize when you go viral, like thousands of people start to see a thing. It's like you start getting multiple DMs and it's like, where can I have a central space for them to be so that we can house all of this and I can figure out where to go back and like follow up with them. I needed to start it. It was like a push, like an internal push for me to do it because people don't realize I'm a twin.
Oh,
I don't know if people know that. I'm a twin, and I think for the most part of my life, my twin, he's very extroverted. Like, we did sports and stuff in high school together, so a lot of people would be like, oh, that's Charles' sister. And I would just be like, I don't want to say in shadow, but like I would just be back there, and I was okay with that. But I knew for a fact I had like a lot of talents and things, and I needed to stand on my own. And so I would say no because it came at that right time because it was like, okay, Chelsea, now what you about to do? Like, how you about to pave your own way outside of like being, a daughter, a sister, a sibling, whatever. Like, what is going to be your legacy and what you're going to do? So yeah, I think yes and no because I needed to forge my own path at that moment.
Okay. And then a follow-up I have is you mentioned your brother and your family and stuff. What was their reception to you, like kind of like going all in on this?
Oh.
Because we have a lot of musicians on the show, and it's like, oh, I was scared to tell my parents that I want to be a rapper. I was scared to tell my parents that I want to be a fashion designer. So did you have like a conversation or a sit down with your parents, or just as, you kind of just did your own thing and let them kind of see
man, it was so, I'm laughing because, man, I mean, I was just like I was a student and I always just did everything by the book. I was like, I'm gonna get all the grades. I'm doing sports. Like I'm just going to sports. I'm going to practice, church, school. That's it. That's my life. Like I didn't do a lot. So when I decided to just be like, because at that point I was really excelling at track. Like I was first in the city of Chicago, 14th in the state of Illinois. Like I was getting the medals and MVPs and all that, the college letters. But I was like, this is not really bringing me happiness.
Not fulfilling.
And it wasn't fulfilling me. And so I had a talk with God, and I was like, look, if I'm supposed to do this, you got to show me.
Show me a sign. Yeah.
Show me a sign. And I think it was when I just decided to take that leap of faith and like actually just surprisingly plan a tour. And so when I actually broke it to my mom and my family that this is what I wanted to do, they was like, oh, it wasn't yeses. They was like, no, like, wait, you should, like, why you don't want to do something else? Like, even teachers, because I did great. I was excelling in sports. So it was conversations of like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, do you know you could possibly not have no money? Like, you could not have no house. You could not be able to eat. You ain't go, you could possibly be eating ramen noodles. Like, it was literally conversations like that. Like, literally, I mean, I was having interventions up until the moment we had to do, like, senior projects. And my senior project was me doing a presentation with the school I wanted to go to, which was ultimately the Savannah College of Art and Design, and then all the schools or whatever choices that they had for me. And I was in there doing a whole debate, like proving to them, like, this is why I'm gonna go there. So no, I wasn't well received. I don't even think it was fully well received until I got down there and I was like, about to enter to my sophomore year of college, and my family started to see that I was like doing something, I did like a fashion show or something down there, and that's when they realized like, okay, she doing this. But before that, it was like, you crazy. You got to find somebody to help you pay for this. You got to do all these things. But ultimately, they're proud now. They're really proud of me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, interesting.
And like, how is it like putting together a fashion show? Because I know you did it, multiple times, right? So
Yeah.
how is it doing that?
Oh, it's hard as hell. Excuse me.
It is, huh?
It's hard, but it's like a good hard because at the end of the day, you learn so many lessons. When I planned my first fashion show, I was actually in Savannah, Georgia, wrapping up my senior year. And I was dealing with like my granddaddy, he was battling cancer and stuff. And so I'm having to delegate, not in the state of not state of Chicago. Girl, what is wrong with you? Not in the city of Chicago. And so I'm having to delegate.
Uh-huh.
And so that's hard because you're trusting somebody else with your baby. It's kind of like planning an album, I would say, because you just, granted, you're putting together the music and things like that, but also you got to trust people to kind of help package it and like market you well. And so in the same sense, that's how it is with the fashion show. You got to just trust and come up with money and the funding and actually have a plan. And so, yeah, and then also with a fashion show, it's like you delegating over people because you got models, you got the people helping you set up and decorate and all of those things. It is hard, but I think that it helps you to, like, it helped me to realize, like, it revealed to me how boss of a boss I could be.
Hell yeah, you get it done.
But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I definitely, like, this year when we did Giving Their Flowers, I ended up going to celebrate after at, like, Soho House. And child, I fell asleep at the table. Like, they had to carry me out. I wasn't drunk. I was exhausted. I was so tired. Like, I think I slept for like 3 days after that.
Yeah.
But once you see the recaps and like how well received it is from the people that come and, months after, people still congratulating me on that show, that's what it is. That's the positive feedback and why it's worth doing what I do. But it's hard. So choose your heart, hey.
Yeah, I feel you.
Choose your heart.
Exactly.
Choose your heart.
Facts.
And what's like your favorite like product to make? Like, is it hats? Is it you got the dresses? Like what's your favorite thing to make?
It has, so when I've created product or things, it has shifted over the years because I remember at one point I was like, ooh, I like making these skirts, but that's because I only knew how to make skirts at that time.
I feel you.
Like, ooh, I like making these dresses because that was the highest I could go. But I think now I think I really enjoy creating the projects that are the most intricate in a way. Like I just did these heels. And I remember at the beginning of me crocheting, I was like, I will never pick up a 1.9 millimeter hook. Like if you've seen a 1.9 millimeter hook, it's so small and you need really, really thin yarn to crochet with it. But I did it for that shoe. And you would have, like, years ago when I first started, I probably would have been too intimidated and just wanted to give up. But like now I just enjoy just like the intricate projects. So like the puffer coats, like that was one of the projects that really had people tapped in, like, oh wow, she doing something. But and that, like, I just really fall in love with like the intricate details of like the intricate projects. So the shoes, the coats, things that kind of take time because a lot of times, I don't want to go too long-winded. Like people think, oh, making hats is fun. No, it's just quick. But it don't feel as rewarding until you like laboring with this piece and allowing it to just progress and sit with you for a few days and then coming back and like, ooh, maybe I could add this to it, No, I really like the intricate projects or the intricate products.
I feel you.
Yeah.
And another question I wanted to ask is like, how did the like was it Oh My God Fashion? The
Or
e-show?
Omg Fashion.
Yeah, OMG Fashion. Like, how did that whole thing come about? Like, did they see your work on social media, or how did that whole thing come about?
So, funny story, I thought it was a scam at first.
Really?
Because somebody had, I got a message, like, in the comments. And so, I didn't, I didn't know if that was for real. So I think I messaged a friend. I'm like, girl, is this serious? Like, it's for real? And she was like, yeah. So it's kind of like they scouted for me and they found me. So it gets through social media. Yeah.
It was a comment?
Yeah, it was in a comment. And then
That's
I was like,
crazy.
okay, let me go check in with my friend and then end up scouting me for the show. Yeah.
That's dope.
That's crazy how that whole thing happened.
Yeah.
Is that typically how like a lot of your campaigns come about via like social media and stuff? or word of
Like
mouth?
which ones?
Because
Which
I know
campaign?
you've done stuff with like Jordan Brand,
Mhm.
Nike. I think I saw Remy Martin. You've done some stuff
Oh
with
yeah, when we did the
yeah. So
yeah.
like, is it mainly just Instagram or socials, or is it kind of just backdoor channels of word of mouth? How do people typically find your art?
So it depends. I think a lot of it has been through social media, but like stuff like Nike, that was a labor of love because I remember when
Okay.
I first graduated from SCAD, I ended up like not having like an internship or anything lined up. It was just like I was just out here forging my own little path now that I got back to
Yeah.
Chicago, and I think I had like my last little $5 or $10. Maybe it was 3. I don't remember. But when you could get them like $3 venture tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah.
got up one day. I'm like, God, what I'm supposed to do? And God was like, go downtown. So I got on the train, put my last little couple of dollars in there, and I ended up discovering the Nike Lab. And I would just go there for months because I remember
Yep.
I was seeking like a creative space, and I had just learned that Virgil had created this like pop up workspace for artists, and they had a bunch of yarn in there, and nobody was using it. And I just was like, they said you can come. And I really probably overstayed my welcome. I came every day. I
Damn.
came every day. I was crocheting shoes. I was crocheting sweaters. I was just there.
Yeah.
And so that kind of partnership just became like it came about from like a relationship. But like other things that I've done, it has been majority through social media. But sometimes it's just like who you know or people that have been secret admirers of your work. And sometimes that just has happened along the way. So it just depends.
Hell yeah.
I feel you.
And something else I wanted to bring up too was I saw you were on, what was it, WGN Chicago or like ABC News Chicago. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so you've worked with some musicians that we've worked with. I think I saw Clea X had modeled for you.
Yeah, that's my girl.
And I believe Jay Wood as well.
That's my boy.
What's your relationship like with Chicago musicians? Because I know that's a big source of inspiration for you and something you kind of dabble in as well. Kind of talk a little bit about your relationship with Chicago music scene.
Man, so my relationship, I don't get to talk about this a lot, so thank y'all for asking this question. Like, a lot of them are like my dogs, man. Them is my straight up homies. Like, I truly love them. I love what they do, but like, I could literally call them, text them, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, modeled. And I'll be so honored because I'm like, I'm just me crocheting and things like that. And they're like, no, girl, we wanna model for you. Like, yeah, let's do it. But no, I really have a heart. Like, they are my genuine friends. It's one thing for you to know somebody, but it's another thing for them to know you and really believe in you. So, my younger brother, he's actually a musical artist, and he just got back to Chicago. So I've been trying to push him and like, get him comfortable and meet new people. And anyway, in that, I always just try to stay like tapped in and just really amplify them in a way. But from back when I was in college up to now, I've always just had like this kinship with musical artists because a lot of my inspirations in the fashion scene haven't necessarily been fashion designers. They were like artists like Toby Nwigwe, Tierra Whack, Tiana Taylor, D Smoke, Sir, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, like all of these people, like Mac Miller, all of them, they have been some like design influences. So I don't know, it's just always been this kinship with just music. Like I remember one time when Smino came, and that was just a happy accident how we connected. And he ended up inviting me to the studio. I'm just sitting up there crocheting and they like laying down beats and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, this is raw. I'm in my frequency. Like, yes. So it's always been just a really, really great kinship.
That's dope. That's dope.
And something I wanted to ask you, because we're kind of getting to the last couple questions. I wanted to ask you is something that we kind of asked off air. Like, what do you feel like is like the new trends like coming up as far as like with fashion?
So as far as like the new trends, I'm not even gonna say new trends because I just think that trends get recycled. They just get reintroduced in like innovative ways. But I think recently it's been bringing back, like we talked off air, a little bit of that skateboard culture. You see a lot of the like, I got one on like the pleated skirts or the chunky kind of shoes, a lot of like the chunky socks. And then you see that influencing like silhouettes of jeans and pants. I've been dabbling back into like the 90s like the 90s or the 2000s, kind of Y2K. They call it Y2K, but it was the 90s and like that era. But I'm not gonna. I just maybe like the skateboarder or like that preppy. It's like the in between because you got people that are starting to dress similar to like that Soulja Boy era, and then you got people that's dressing like the preppy in a way, like the skirts and mixing that in and kind of a little bit more of that punk look. So yeah, maybe a little bit of that.
And that kind of brings me to my other question. Like, where do you feel like fashion is going to be probably in like the next like 10 years? Like, do you feel like there's going to be a big like style change? Because I definitely just hear a lot like we're just upcycling and just certain things environmental wise as far as like with fashion. Like, do you feel like is there going to be any like big shift in the next 10 years with fashion at all?
Well, I think sustainability will be big in the next 10 years. And I think that, sad to say, artificial intelligence is probably going to be used in terms of how we create fabric and textile designs. I know that's just personally what I think. Because you see it now, like people are starting to create these like AI designs. And people think that they're real, but I'm like, no, that's like, what was that one thing? It was like the grandma, like the crochet cars. And they had these like grandmothers on the motorcycles, but that wasn't even a real thing. That was just somebody AI in it. And so maybe that's how some people may draw inspiration. But I definitely think that some form of technology will impact like how we create. So I know I was at like a panel a few weeks ago, and on the panel they were talking about just you should just start to tap in a little bit more with technology. I don't like to be using it a lot, but tap into it because I think that's where we're headed. Sad to say, but I also think that storytelling will grow because with fast fashion, there's so much that's put out that the idea of like actual storytelling was getting lost. But I think that now people don't want to just buy stuff just to be buying stuff. They want to buy things because they love the person that not love, but like they really are inspired by somebody's story. So I think storytelling will be big too.
Yeah, moving forward.
Yeah, hopefully I'm right. Hopefully my prediction is correct. I don't know.
No, yeah, I hope it is. Shit, you know what I'm saying? With how shit is going, shit is going now.
Maybe they'll continue to have like spray on clothes, like you wake up and it's a paintball gun or something.
You just spray.
Yeah, because they did it at some fashion show.
Yeah, I
saw
forgot.
that. But yeah, maybe that. I don't know. Spray on leather. I don't.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Have you really seen like?
Yeah, it was
like
with Gigi Hadid's sister. I think it was. Don't quote me. I think it was like an Alexander McQueen show.
Yeah, they sprayed some white stuff on her.
And they sprayed her, like sprayed the dress on her.
Oh,
and then she just started walking. Like she came out, I think, like bra, like a tube top and underwear, and they just started spraying her in this white dress. Yeah.
Damn, that's sick.
Look, he knows some cool tale knows something.
I'll be tapped in. I'm trying to learn a little bit.
Be tapped in.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit.
But yeah, pretty much like one of the final questions I wanted to ask you is kind of like what's like the goals you have for the rest of the year? Like what do you just really want to accomplish? Like what are some of the things you just want to do for this year?
I'm just laying the things I want to accomplish for this year is kind of laying the foundations for next year. And we've already been doing that, which, everybody will be privy to see later on. But yeah, just laying the foundations and really tapping back into like what is that wellness in totality, like spiritually, mentally, creatively. Like I just want to just continue to enrich and sharpen that so that I can put out like the next best work and continue to be innovative within this next like 12 months after, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's really what it is. Just like wellness and continue to like tap back into community. Because one of the things that I really have been thinking about is like, what is the legacy? Like, what is my legacy gonna be? Outside of just creating cool things. Like, how am I gonna continue to inspire? And so in that, I think that the totality of like wellness is key. And so I just want to continue to like sharpen it so that I can continue to inspire and really, really confirm and sharpen like how I want to show up.
Yeah, definitely 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in, Chelsea. Taylor, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, no, this is a super dope conversation, Chelsea.
This is a great episode, great conversation, and really an honor to have you in this chair. So I just want to say thank you and keep doing your thing.
I mean, thank y'all for having me. This was truly an honor, and I'm glad we finally was able to have this conversation.
Yeah. But we appreciate you, and it's great shit.
On that note,